योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिं श्रीमते अनन्ताय नागराजाय नमो नमः। पातञ्जलमहाभाष्य चरकप्रतिसंस्कृतैः मनोवाक्कायदोषाणां हर्त्रे अहिपतये नमः। भाष्यकृत् सूत्रकृच्चापि निर्मलन्तं स्वरूपिणं ध्यातारं श्रीपते नित्यं पतञ्जलिं नमाम्यहम्। सति मूले तद्विपाको जात्यायुर्भोगाः। So today, friends, we are in the discussion of the 13th Sutra of the second chapter. We completed the 12th Sutra in the previous session. Just to revise and recapitulate what has been talked about in the second chapter so far. The second chapter of the Yogasutra is for people like us who are considered what is called vyuttita chittas. That means people whose mind is normally distracted or disturbed. We are not like yogis where our mind is very calm all the time. We get affected by the dualities of life. When something good happens, we are excited, or when something bad happens, we are getting agitated. So this is what is called dualities of life. When we think something good happens, we are excited. When we think something bad happens, we are getting agitated. It doesn't have to be good or bad actually. It's just our mental creation. For example, is what we talked about. When it's a very rainy day, all the people who want to watch sport, they are unhappy because the sport doesn't happen, because it rains and people don't play. Match is delayed because of rain. So it's a bad day for the people who are interested in the sport. But at the same time, maybe it's a very good day for somebody who is selling umbrellas or rain jackets, because it's a day when people want to buy umbrellas or rain jackets. So nothing in reality, according to the yoga philosophy, is good or bad universally. Certain people look at it in one way, certain other people will look at the same thing a completely different way. And that is what is happening because of what is contained within our mind structure. And that's why Patanjali begins this chapter with the word called Tapas, which is the process of purification. That is, we are trying to eliminate the impurities in the mind, because mind is what creates opinions, and opinions need not always be facts. Many times we make decisions based on opinions. We don't make decisions based on facts. But in reality, we have to make decision based on a fact. We cannot make a decision based on opinions. That is part of the problems we have. Now, what is an opinion? What is a fact? What are the toxins we have in our system is very unique to each of us. That is why Patanjali presents the next idea, that is called Svadhyaya, self-reflection, self-exploration. What can be toxic to somebody need not be toxic to another person. Take for example what we call sometimes allergy. Some people are allergic to peanuts. Peanuts is toxic. Peanuts are very toxic to the people who are allergic to it. But for somebody who is not allergic to it, it is not toxic. The same thing is seen differently by different people. That is where the concept of Svadhyaya comes, self-exploration. And this is very important because just because we have an opinion or we have a particular thing that feels bad to us, it does not mean it's universally bad. We cannot say peanuts are universally poisonous because it is poisonous to those who are allergic. It's not. Same way, even a poison, like let's say a plant which has a flower that is poisonous to all of humanity, it does not mean it is poisonous universally, because the same plant may be consumed by an animal that has the metabolic capacity for digesting that. So it's just because something is not convenient for us, we cannot establish it as a convenient truth. Actually, it cannot be a truth at all, it's only a subjective field. That's why Patanjali is saying, do self-reflection, because what will apply to each of us is very different. We are not all the same. We are not all the same. We have to explore our potential and fulfill that. Some plants require a lot of water, some plants require very little water, some plants require humidity, some plants do not require humidity. So we have different seeds that require different conditions. The same way human beings, we are not all the same. We also have different seeds. So we cannot have the same processes applied. So that is where Svadhyaya comes in. And then Patanjali reminds us, we are not the masters of the world. We may put some efforts, but it doesn't mean the results will come as we expect. I may put all the effort to make something work, but it need not work the way I want it to work, because I am not the master of the world. We are not the person who can control everything in this world. Like I want to take my daughter shopping to a particular place for her birthday, so we plan, okay, on this particular day we will go for shopping and to this particular place, and we sit in the car and we start driving towards it. That particular day, maybe our wonderful politicians want to do a protest and all the roads are blocked. So we cannot go that day. We are not able to control everything. Today morning, many people would have suffered from this because today many flights are cancelled, especially those arriving early morning, because of our wonderful festival called Bhogi, where we burn so many old things that there is so much fog or smog or smoke that people cannot see. So flights cannot land. So all the families, just imagine, some of them, they would have come from some villages to meet their family members coming back from Dubai or Qatar or other countries, and they're all waiting in the airport for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, because there is something that is not in their control. That's why Patanjali says, even though you are taking actions, don't think you are so entitled that just because you are acting, you get the results that you are expecting, especially instantaneously. What is called iha phala. I do an action, I want an immediate result. It's what now our modern society is, what is called instant gratification. Patanjali says, sorry, that does not happen. That's why he says, concept of Ishvara Pranidhana. We have to accept that there are some factors in this world that is not within our control. So even though you are acting correctly, doing the correct things, it does not always mean that you will have the expected consequences. It can be different. So that's what he calls as Ishvara Pranidhana, surrendering to the universal force, so that you are reminded that the most important thing is the action itself and not the consequences. We must not act for a benefit. The action itself is the benefit. The action itself is the benefit. That's what we are reminded of. That's what Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita also says. He says, Karmanyevadhikarastu ma phaleshu kadachana. You are responsible only for your action. You are not responsible for the results of your action, because the results involve so many other factors. So that is the first beginning of the second chapter, and then Patanjali says why we have these problems, and that's where he defines what is called the Kleśa-s, the afflictions that we have, especially all mental afflictions. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, viniveshaha. We have 5 different kinds of mental afflictions that is actually the reason for our suffering. Now in yoga philosophy, according to Patanjali, something is never a problem in itself. The problem is because of the mind. Mind is the source of the problem. Mind is the solution for the problem. That's what Patanjali defines in the first chapter itself. Vrittayaha, panchatayaha, klishtaha, aklishtaha. Our mind and its activities are both the source of our problems and the solution for our problems. There can be something that happens. Now I can see that as good or bad depending on how my mind sees it, not based on reality. My father always used to say, as an example, you take a glass that is got water till halfway. So somebody may complain about it that it is half empty, because their mind is saying, oh, it's empty. Somebody may complain about it that it is, or somebody may appreciate it that it is half full. At least I have a little bit of water. Sometimes I have seen this in spiritual gatherings. Being in the position I have been in regard to my family tradition and lineage, been very fortunate to know a lot of people involved in the field of spirituality, and sometimes I have had very interesting experiences. And in one experience, there was a great spiritual master whose lecture we were attending, my father and I. And my father knew this person very well. So just before the talk, he took me backstage to meet the master and introduce me to him. And my father is always the person who is looking at the glass, not just half full, but even the half full he sees as full. That's how positive he is usually. So he told this master, sir, you see, you are attracting so many people, you are really so famous and so wonderful. The master immediately looked at my father and says, no sir, not so great. Look, the last row there are still 2 seats that are empty. And that's what the master could see, the 2 seats that were empty. And he was not so happy. He called the organizer and said, why are the 2 seats not empty? Keep the, security guards there so it appears full. That is what is the problem, is not the reality, the problem is actually in our head. And that's what Patanjali says, the problem is there because of these 5 kleshas called avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, vinivesha. And he goes on to explain that these are always, these mental afflictions called the kleshas, they are not a problem if they are sleeping. They are a problem only when they are influencing the actions. They are a problem only when they are influencing the actions, and that's why we have to work to make them impotent or asleep, so that they are not influencing our karma. That's what Patanjali is saying, and that is where we are in the sutra. In the previous sutra, Patanjali says, Kleśa mulaha karmashaya adrishta janma vedaniyaha. It's a very important concept in yoga philosophy, very important philosophical approach of the Oriental traditions, not only yoga, not only what we call as the Sanatana Dharma, which the West calls as Hinduism, but also in schools like Buddhism and Jainism, etc., where they are talking about the concept of karma. What they are saying is, what actions you are doing will not necessarily have consequences only immediately. We think that if we do something, the consequence has to happen now, the results will have to happen now, and once the result is coming or going or not coming, we can forget about it. It's not the case. Whether it's positive or negative, the consequences of that karma sometimes can be instantaneous, sometimes can come later. The metaphor always given in our tradition is this: you may plant a tree when you are young, but that tree will not give fruit until you are much older, because some trees take many years to grow, and then only after it is grown fully, it gives a fruit. So sometimes you may not even be alive when the fruits of the tree are bearing, because it takes so many years for the tree to give fruit. So adrishta janma, the birth of the fruits, is happening a long time later. Sometimes it happens instantaneously. So the consequences are not always immediate. And this is very important in our life as well. In my work as a yoga therapist, I am seeing this so much, that most people who have health problems, whether it's physical, mostly physical, or not only physical problems, they are often almost always psycho-spiritual problems, where the origins are actually even happened long ago, not immediately. And sometimes even we have inherited from our ancestors. We have even inherited some from our ancestors. So it's not even in our birth that is the origin. The origin is actually in a couple of births behind us. That's what is called karma. The karma that we do, and that is where we have to be very sensitive, because we are not only acting for ourselves, we are acting for future generations as well. We think, okay, I use plastic now, I don't care, it's not affecting me, I'm using 100 plastic bags every week, I don't care, it's not bothering me. But these plastic bags will slowly accumulate. Maybe our children, our grandchildren, they will start suffering, because it will accumulate. The karma of plastic bags will accumulate, because plastic is not going to disintegrate so quickly. The same way, some karma that our ancestors have done may affect us. So that's why the Vedic philosophies and the Oriental philosophies are saying, don't be so selfish that you are only acting for yourself. Always remember, you are acting also for future generation. Now modern people, they are saying, you know what, I don't want to have children, I don't care, I will not have offspring, so why should I bother? It's even more, it's not so direct only. It's not so direct. Because we can be influenced not only by our own immediate father or mother, or grandfather or grandmother, but even uncle and auntie, because they are also our ancestors. Our grand uncle and grand auntie, my grandfather's brother, my grandmother's brother, sister, they can also influence us. because they are what we call Pitrus. In India, we call them Pitrus, our ancestors. Their karma affects us. So whether we have children or not, it doesn't matter. It is for the future generations. So that's what Patanjali has just presented in the previous sutra. Drishta adrishta janma vedaniyaha. In the next sutra, Patanjali is telling us, okay, if we don't know immediately, how do we know that there are Kleśa-s? How can I identify? How can I identify that there is a Kleśa? That's this sutra. Sati mule tadvipako jatyayur bhogaha. Look at how the actions are getting manifested. Look at how consequences are getting manifested. Look at how the behavior of somebody is. And there are 3 ways this will show you that the Kleśa-s are acting. Sati mule means if in case they are having their origins in the Kleśa-s, tad vipakaha, their expressions will be known through Jati ayuhu bhogaha. Jati. Jati means the quality, the expression. Now, my Jati is I am a teacher. Because that is my work, my yoga teacher, I am a yoga therapist, whatever is a title, I help people, I am teaching people. Now, if my Jati is not a yoga teacher, if it's not within my seeds, there will be some expressions in my teaching quality, in my teaching capacity, that will reveal that this is not where I am meant to be. Many people choose their profession and career because of a convenience or because what society wants from them, and in India because what parents want them to be. In India, when a child is born, before their child is given a name, they say, I want my child to be a doctor, I want my child to be an engineer, I want my child to be an accountant. We are fixing their career already. We make a deposit in a bank for buying a seat, because if you are a Brahmin in this country today, you cannot really find it very easy to get a seat. So we have to start saving money. So before a child is given its name, because we have to wait usually 13 days to name a child, but before that we already put safety deposit in the bank. Okay, fixed deposit, mutual fund, all this we start making so that the child will become a doctor, the child will become an engineer. We don't even consider what the child wants to do, or more importantly, what the child can do. So that's why if you see most of the Jati of the people who are working, they are really not doing what is consistent with their potential. That's why they don't do their job well. Or more significantly, sometimes we can learn how to do a job well, but we are not really satisfied. That feeling of joy is not in the job. When you are seeing a cat or a dog, when it is able to be in its element, use this language in English, when it's able to be in its element, it will be so happy, it will flow so smoothly. But if you train the dog to be like a disciplined circus performing job, now it's not in its element. It can do wonderful tricks, it can learn, but it's not really happy, it suffers a lot. It is given a reward, okay, here's a biscuit if you do this trick. If you don't do this trick, it is beaten. The same way society is beating us metaphorically. If you do your job well, increment, promotions, good title, good career, good car, you can get it. If you don't do your job well, fired, demotion, all these kind of insults, We are getting that, so we are training ourselves somehow to be who we are not meant to be. We are actually maintaining life, but we are not thriving in our life. That is what is Jati. The Jati will reveal. Your own expression will reveal. Your own expression will reveal the way your actions are expressing. Think about it. Sometimes when you want to say something that is different from what you feel, you become uncomfortable saying that. Your body becomes uncomfortable, your feeling becomes uncomfortable. You know that you are about to say something that is not really correct. Some people ask me opinion about other kinds of yoga. Now, I don't want to tell the truth also always, because I feel a little bit uncomfortable to say the truth. I start feeling uncomfortable. But if I'm with my friends and they ask me about other things, I just say what I feel. It's much more fluid. This is what is called Jati, the quality of expression. Jati, unfortunately, in modern language has been associated with what is called caste. It's a very bad translation of the word Jati. Jati is manifestation of our potential. A flower has a Jati, a dog has a Jati, tomato's Jati is to be a tomato, a cat's Jati is to be a cat. The word comes from the word Ja, which means birth, seed, what the seed holds for it. What the seed is holding for it. You can never make a tomato into a papaya. Even if the tomato plant is thinking, my father used to love papayas. He could eat about 12 papayas a day and be so happy. So in our house, my mother used to grow some tomato plants as well. Now the tomato plant cannot think, it never thinks, oh, my boss, my owner likes papayas, so maybe I should try to become a papaya. It never thinks, and even if it thinks, it is not possible. But what do we humans do? We are always making decisions based on what other people dictate. That is where the Kleśa-s come. Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha makes us want to become somebody that we are not. Makes us want to become somebody we are not. And that is the problem. We have too many rules which are very rigid. There are too many expectations from society. And therefore that affects Ayu. Ayu is a very fascinating word. The word Ayu is a time span. A time span. Now, in a very simple way, if I don't like to do something, I will either do it too quickly or too slowly. I remember when I was young, and every time we had visitors, father or mother would say, keep your room clean because we have to share the room with the visitors. They will love to sleep in your room. Because in the old days we had to share rooms and share space. Nobody had their own room and nobody had their own space. So people would come visitors, we will just unfold a mat on the floor and people would sleep. What is called pai. We would just unfold a little mat which is made of straw, and that's where the visitors would sleep. So clean your room. Now, I never liked to clean my room. I liked all the things to be how it was. So there is a Kleśa resistance, dvesha. I don't like to clean my room. So what do? I do it very quickly, gather everything, dump it in my cupboard and just lock the cupboard so it looks very clean. From the outside it is clean. I do it in 5 minutes. I say, Father, I'm done. So as long as the door of the cupboard is locked, the room is clean. So very quick action. If there is a Kleśa, sometimes you have an action very quickly. Or slowly, too slow. I don't like somebody or we don't like somebody and they are requesting us something or we are supposed to do something for them. We delay, we don't act in the right time. We delay and delay and delay. We are delaying so many things. For example, often when you see people who are separating, they delay talking to each other. They don't like, if the ex-husband or ex-wife is asking, oh, can you bring me your my clothes which is in your house? People delay, or they do it immediately because they don't want it. One of the Kleśa-s will determine the Ayu's time span. You can classically see it in many bureaucratic offices, especially in India. Gandhi makes people move very fast or very slow. If people are not seeing Gandhi, they move very slow. You don't give Gandhi, that means money. All our Indian money, there is Gandhi. So if you don't give money, Gandhi is making people don't move at all. The moment you show some, correct sir? Thank you for agreeing with me. The moment you show some Gandhi's photograph, people are so afraid of Gandhi, they move. It's what the Upanishad also says, Visha Smadvada Pavate Vishode Tisurya. Not about Gandhi. It says the sun is shining because of fear of the divine, that it has to do its dharma, therefore it is shining. Same way, the moment you look Gandhi, people act so quickly. This is also what is called Ayu. Sometimes some things, if you don't give bribe, takes a long time. They keep delaying. Sir, this paper is not right, that paper is not right, please bring this, please bring that, please bring this. They are purposely delayed. The moment you give them some motivation, immediately the job is done, no matter, they don't even check the papers if it is the right number of Gandhis. So immediately the job is done. So that is what is called Ayu. Kleśa-s will show in the Ayu. Every action, every consequence has timing. How much time it has. There's also another meaning, which is that it spans time. As long as we don't resolve the Kleśa-s will continue to interfere in our life time and again. In Vedic philosophy, time is not a straight line. That's a very big difference between Western culture and Vedic culture on the concept of time. In Western culture, time is linear. What is in the past is in the past, it just keeps moving along. So the further you go, the further you are away from the past. That's why people in the West, they don't like to go back to their trauma so easily because they don't want to deal with it. They say, as long as we don't talk about it, every year it keeps going further away from the trauma, so we don't have to worry about it. Because the more distance we take, the more it is vanishing. Then they make all these fantastic statements saying time heals everything. Time does not heal everything, sorry. Time is circular. If we don't deal with it, it keeps coming back in one form or the other. That's why we call trauma as paritapa. Paritapa means it comes again and again, it repeats itself. Time is circular. Every 60 years we have a repetition of our time frame. This is in Indian calendar, it's in the Chinese calendar, it's in all Oriental calendars. Time goes through a cycle of 60 years. Every 60 years, time rotates. That's why we call time in Vedic science Kala Chakra. Kala, time, is a chakra, it's a circle, it's not straight. So, I don't want to deal with it today. Tomorrow it will remind me one way or the other. I don't want to deal with it tomorrow. I don't want to deal with it day after. It will repeat. That's what is told you about the concept of karma. You don't want to deal with it at all. It doesn't mean that it is gone. It will affect your future generations. There are many people I know, many students I have in Europe who have suffered from this, from what their ancestors have suffered from. For example, not only in Europe but also in India, but I just think about an example I recently saw where I met a young person who suffered from certain psychosomatic illnesses. And it was in the form of a little rash on the left forearm where always a red square or a red rectangle would form as a rash every time this lady was under tension. This lady is only in the 20s. Now, we realize that it is we realize it is what is called post-traumatic stress, but she has never been in a war. She has never been in this kind of traumatic situation in her life. She had a very safe childhood and all that. But it's very fascinating because she has the rash the same place her grandmother had the markings, because her grandmother was a Holocaust survivor. But she never wanted to talk about her experience ever, because she wanted to forget about it. That's what is the concept of, okay, the further away we go from that, the more we distance ourselves. The same I've seen with some students in India also, where because of the Matadvesha, fights between the matas, like Dvaita, Advaita, Dvaita, Vishishta, Dvaita, Vaishnavya, Shaiva, there is a lot of fights. And there have been some really bad behavior done by our ancestors, karma. People have killed each other, people have murdered each other, and they are gone. But their children, their grandchildren, they suffer from it. The Kleśa-s will show in time. Now this has another dimension as well, that it will also show in the astrological charts. Ayu also means time. Our chart of astrology will reveal all these problems. Bhoga, the experience itself. The experience itself. What you experience is not necessarily a pure experience of the heart. What you experience can come from the Kleśa-s. I always take the example of cricket. The national religion of India is cricket, which nobody else understands except maybe a few countries. Most of the world does not understand cricket. You know, some people can play for 5 days, have lunch break, tea break, etc. But very often you see a sport. I'm a great fan of my country, India. I'm an Indian. I support my Indian team. And every time India wins, I'm so happy. Every time India loses, I'm so unhappy. Now when India wins, is it free from Kleśa? My happiness, is it free from Kleśa? That is what is Bhoga. How do I experience it? Because if I really experienced it from a pure place, without the Kleśa, I will be happy even if India loses, as long as the match was a good match. If it was a close match, both teams really played well, and the decision was so close, and one team won because of a narrow margin, it's a good match. It doesn't matter whether it's one team winning or the other team winning. But our experience is not like that. If it is something that we want a result, that India should win, it's Kleśa-s making you have that experience. It's not the reality. It's the Kleśa-s, not the reality. India loses, I'm unhappy. It's the Kleśa that is making me feel angry or disappointed. It's my expectation. Did I go to see India win, or did I go to see a match? This is the question we have to answer. That's what is called Bhoga. The same applies to all of us in our life. The same applies. People are always telling me, I have happy married life, sir. I say, what do you mean by happy married life? Oh, my husband is doing all that I want. So if he did not do, will you be unhappy? That means your happiness is based on an expectation. It's not based on, nobody tells me, oh, we are so connected, that's why I'm saying I'm a happy married life. Sir, in good times and bad times we are very connected. People are saying, oh, he does everything I want. Oh, she does everything I want. Oh, that is based on expectation. So many people say this, I am very happy with my job. Why are you happy in your job? Oh, good salary, sir, good promotion, sir. That's what they are talking about. Nobody says, I'm happy because I'm fulfilled in my job. It makes my potential express and manifest. Very few people say that. Those people will not care about salary and promotions. They will just do because they love to do that job. So, that's what is called bhoga. How you experience things will reveal whether it is coming from a place of the Kleśa-s or whether it's coming from a place of purity in the heart. That's always the conflict between the head and the heart, and that's why poor neck gets so much tension, because always there is a fight. The heart says, you are happy. The head says, no, you can have more, you should not be happy. Sometimes the heart says, no, please help that person. The head says, no, if you help that person, you'll be in trouble. Next time they'll ask you more help. So we are having this conflict. So poor neck gets neck tension. We have neck pain, and we all complain, neck pain. We go to doctor gives painkiller. Or he says, go to physiotherapy. The physiotherapy will give you some exercise. The exercise is happening, but neck pain is not going. Because there is a conflict. There is a psychosomatic problem. Many of us, we suffer from this. Many of us. So that's why Patanjali says, observe your Jati. Observe the Ayu. Observe the Bhoga. And then you will know whether there is Kleśa-s which are rooted in your actions, or whether your actions are coming from a place of clarity. This is the summary of the sutra. Sati mule tad vipako jati ayu bhoga. Namaste, my friends. Thank you.